October 2024. Ukraine launches a new phase of strategic strikes against Russia, not random attacks, not opportunistic targets, a systematic campaign, coordinated operations, specific objectives. Over the next 4 months, Ukrainian forces will conduct at least 66 successful strikes deep inside Russian territory. Ammunition depots explode, oil refineries burn, military factories cease production, airfields lose aircraft, command posts are destroyed. The targets span thousands of kilometers, from Moscow, 450 kilometers from the border, to Izhevsk, 1,300 kilometers into Russia's interior. The weapons are diverse: long-range drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, some Ukrainian-made, some Western-supplied, all precisely targeted. This isn't terrorism, this isn't random violence. This is strategic warfare, degrading an enemy's ability to wage war, destroying the logistics that feed the front lines, eliminating the industrial capacity that produces weapons, forcing defensive resource allocation that weakens offensive operations. From October 2024 through January 2025, Ukraine executed the most comprehensive deep strike campaign of the war. This is WarFist TV, where we analyze the battles that change wars, because these 66 strikes didn't just destroy individual targets, they fundamentally altered Russia's strategic calculations. Hit subscribe. You need to see how Ukraine is systematically dismantling Russia's war machine. Strategic bombing campaigns have a long history. World War II. Allied forces bombed German industrial centers, factories, refineries, transportation hubs. The goal: destroy Germany's ability to produce weapons, make continuing the war unsustainable. Vietnam War. United States bombed North Vietnamese supply routes, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, bridges, depots, attempting to cut supplies to Viet Cong forces. Gulf War. Coalition forces struck Iraqi command centers, communication networks, air defenses, degrading Iraq's ability to coordinate military operations. The principle is consistent: attack the sources of enemy power, not just the forces in the field. Destroy logistics, eliminate production, disrupt command and control, force the enemy to defend everything, spread resources thin, create vulnerability. Ukraine's campaign from October 2024 to January 2025 followed this principle, but with unique characteristics. Ukraine is the smaller power, fewer resources, smaller military, fighting a defensive war. Traditional strategic bombing requires air superiority, heavy bombers, fighter escorts. Ukraine has none of these. Russian air defenses deny Ukrainian aircraft access to Russian airspace, so Ukraine adapted. Long-range drones, domestically produced, ranges exceeding 1,000 kilometers. Cruise missiles, some Ukrainian-made like Neptune, some Western-supplied like Storm Shadow. Ballistic missiles, ATACMS from the United States, used selectively against high-value targets. The campaign planning began months before execution. Ukrainian intelligence identified critical targets: main missile and artillery directorate arsenals, Grayu facilities storing ammunition for the entire Russian military, oil refineries and storage facilities. Russia exports oil for revenue. That revenue funds the war. Military factories, producing explosives, electronics, weapons components, strategic airfields, hosting bombers that strike Ukrainian cities. The targeting prioritization considered multiple factors: military value. How much does destroying this target degrade Russian capabilities? Economic impact. How much revenue loss or production disruption? Accessibility. Can Ukrainian weapons reach it? Defensibility. How strong are the air defenses? Propaganda value. What message does this strike send? Each target received assessment: high priority, medium priority, low priority. Resources allocated accordingly. Which target category provides maximum strategic effect? A. Ammunition depots. B. Oil infrastructure. C. Military factories. Comment your answer. October 2024 saw the campaign begin. Ukrainian forces struck ammunition depots across multiple Russian regions. Bryansk Oblast, the 67th Grayu Arsenal at Karachev, stores Iranian and North Korean rockets. Drones struck. Secondary explosions. Ammunition destroyed. Tver Oblast, the 107th Grayu Arsenal at Toropets, 30,000 tons of munitions. The strike caused magnitude 2.8 seismic event. Fires burned for days. Rostov Oblast, Ammunition depot at Katamovsky Training Ground. Supplies for units fighting in Donetsk and Luhansk destroyed. Each strike removed ammunition from Russian logistics. Shells that would never reach artillery units. Rockets that would never launch. Missiles that would never strike. The cumulative effect: Russian artillery fire decreased significantly. General Syrsky, Ukrainian commander-in-chief, stated in January 2025 that Russian daily artillery usage dropped from 40,000 shells to approximately 20,000 shells. Ammunition shortage was a primary cause. These strikes contributed directly. Simultaneously, Ukraine targeted oil infrastructure. Refineries process crude oil into usable fuels, gasoline for vehicles, diesel for tanks and trucks, jet fuel for aircraft, aviation fuel for helicopters. Russia needs these products. Military operations consume massive quantities. Civilian economy requires fuel. Exports generate revenue. Ukraine struck systematically. Saratov refinery, multiple strikes. Facility shut down November 11th. Expected offline until December. Volgograd refinery, damaged November 6th. Processing capacity reduced. Novokai-Bishevsk refinery, struck 6 times in 2024-2025. Each time forced repairs. Production interrupted. Ryazan refinery hit November 15th. Critical processing units damaged. The pattern repeated. Strike. Russia repairs. Strike again. Force continuous resource allocation to repairs. Prevent full production recovery. Stay with me. The next section reveals how targeting patterns evolved and what that tells us about Ukrainian strategy. The targeting evolved over the 4 months. Early October focused on ammunition depots, removing Russian ability to sustain artillery-heavy operations. Late October into November added oil refineries, degrading fuel production for military and economic impact. December shifted toward military-industrial targets, factories producing weapon components. The Kremny EL plant in Bryansk produces microelectronics for ICBMs, air defense systems, combat aircraft. Struck January 24th. Fire-damaged production facilities. The Kazanorg Zintez plant in Tatarstan, chemical production facility, supplies explosives for munitions. Struck January 14th. Hours of explosions. Production halted. The Tambov gunpowder factory, essential for artillery shell propellant, targeted repeatedly. Each strike disrupted production schedules, forced repairs, delayed deliveries to ammunition plants. January 2025 saw the most intensive phase. At least 15 successful strikes that month, multiple targets per week. Engels 2 Air Base, ammunition depot with cruise missiles destroyed. Belaya Air Base in Siberia, aircraft and facilities damaged. Oil storage facilities across multiple regions. Feodosia in occupied Crimea, 11 tanks destroyed. 69,000 cubic meters of oil, estimated $38 to $100 million in damage from that single strike. The campaign demonstrated capability evolution. Early strikes used primarily drones, limited payloads, but easier to produce in quantity. Later strikes incorporated cruise missiles, Storm Shadow from UK and France, Neptune from Ukraine, greater payload, more precise. Final phase used ATACMS ballistic missiles, longer range, harder to intercept, permitted by United States in November 2024 for strikes inside Russia. First confirmed use, November 19th against Karachov Arsenal. The geographic scope was vast. Western Russia, Bryansk, Kursk, Voronezh oblasts, closest to Ukrainian border, easiest to reach. Central Russia, Tver, Moscow, Ryazan oblasts, require longer-range weapons, strategic targets. Southern Russia, Rostov, Krasnodar, Volgograd, supporting forces in occupied Ukraine. Eastern reaches, Tatarstan, Bashkortostan, over 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine, previously considered safe. Occupied territories, Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk. Ukrainian strikes unaffected by international considerations. The message was clear. Nowhere in Russia is beyond Ukrainian reach. No target is safe if Ukraine prioritizes it. Distance provides no protection. Russian forces must defend everywhere. Air defense systems spread thin. Resources diverted from offensive operations. If you believe systematic campaigns defeat enemies more than battles, type WarFist TV in the comments. The campaign's success rate varied by target type. Ammunition depots, high success rate. Large facilities, easy to identify. Explosions and fires confirm hits. Secondary detonations common. Estimated 80% of strikes achieved significant damage. Oil infrastructure, moderate success rate. Refineries are large but protected. Some strikes caused major damage. Others hit peripheral facilities. Estimated 60% achieved significant impact. Military factories, variable success. Some facilities completely disrupted. Others experienced minor damage. Depends on precision and intelligence quality. Estimated 50% success rate. Airfields, difficult targets. Aircraft can be moved, runways repaired quickly. But ammunition and fuel storage vulnerable. Estimated 40% of airfield strikes achieved lasting impact. The cumulative damage over 4 months was substantial. Conservative estimates, over 100,000 tons of ammunition destroyed or damaged, equivalent to several months of Russian consumption. Approximately 100 oil storage tanks destroyed or damaged, millions of barrels of petroleum products lost, multiple refineries operating at reduced capacity, production decrease of 10–15% across affected facilities, dozens of military production facilities damaged, delays in ammunition, electronics, explosives manufacturing, at least 20 aircraft destroyed or damaged on the ground, includes strategic bombers and fighters. These numbers are based on satellite imagery analysis, open source intelligence, Russian official statements where available. Actual damage may be higher. Russia conceals losses, refuses to acknowledge extent of destruction. But satellite photos don't lie. Before and after comparisons show craters where buildings stood, burn scars where oil tanks exploded, damaged structures at factory sites. Answer: A. Ammunition depots provide maximum immediate strategic effect. Oil infrastructure creates long-term economic pressure. Factories disrupt future production. But ammunition depots directly impact current operations. Destroy a month's worth of shells. Artillery fire decreases immediately. The battlefield effect is measurable within days. The Russian response evolved throughout the campaign. Initial response: denial. Official statements claimed air defenses intercepted all drones. Minor damage only, no strategic impact. This fooled nobody. Satellite imagery and local reports contradicted official claims. Second phase response: increased air defense, more S-400 batteries at strategic sites, more Panzer systems, electronic warfare equipment. But this created new problems. Air defense systems defending oil refineries cannot defend advancing troops. Every resource allocated to rear area defense is unavailable at the front. Third phase response: dispersal. Ammunition moved from large central depots to smaller distributed storage. Oil stored in more locations. Production facilities implementing redundancy. But dispersal has costs. Logistics become complex. Transportation increases. Efficiency decreases. Security is harder to maintain. Fourth phase response: retaliation. Russia launched its own strikes against Ukrainian infrastructure. Power stations, electrical grid, heating facilities. The largest single-night drone attack occurred during this period. 472 drones launched at Ukraine, many intercepted, but some got through. Damage to Ukrainian infrastructure, casualties among civilians. But retaliation didn't stop Ukrainian strikes. The campaign continued. The strategic calculation was clear. Ukraine could accept infrastructure damage. Repairs are possible. Western aid helps reconstruction, but Russia cannot easily replace destroyed ammunition, cannot quickly rebuild refinery capacity under sanctions, cannot restart production at damaged factories overnight. The Western role in the campaign was significant but limited. United States provided ATACMS missiles, but with restrictions. Cannot strike civilian targets, cannot attack Moscow directly, must be used against military objectives. Intelligence sharing increased. Satellite reconnaissance, signal intercepts, target location assistance. But final targeting decisions remained Ukrainian. United Kingdom and France supplied Storm Shadow Scalp missiles. Range, approximately 560 kilometers. Allowed Ukraine to strike deeper than before, but quantities were limited. Perhaps 100 missiles total over months. Germany provided weapons but restricted their use. No strikes on Russian territory, only occupied Ukrainian areas. This limited effectiveness, but Germany's position was clear. Other nations provided components, technology, training, but avoided direct involvement in strikes on Russia. Ukrainian domestic production was critical. Long-range strike drones developed entirely in Ukraine. No Western restrictions. Ukraine decides targets. Ukraine plans missions. Ukraine executes strikes. Production increased throughout 2024. Initial capacity, perhaps 50 drones monthly. By late 2024, several hundred monthly. Quality improved, range extended, payload increased, navigation more reliable. New variants appeared. Jet-powered drones, greater speed and range. Lighter drones, cheaper to produce, can be used in swarms. Heavier drones, larger payloads for difficult targets. The diversity allowed mission-specific selection. Light drones for reconnaissance, heavy drones for ammunition depots, jet drones for distant targets. Should Ukraine have focused more on one target type? Was the geographic spread too broad? Could Russia have defended better? Comment your strategic analysis. The campaign from October 2024 through January 2025 demonstrated several realities. First, strategic bombing works if sustained. Individual strikes have limited effect, but systematic campaigns over months create cumulative pressure. Force resource reallocation, disrupt enemy plans. Second, smaller powers can execute strategic strikes without traditional air superiority. Drones and missiles provide reach, don't require fighter escorts, can penetrate defended airspace through saturation or stealth. Third, economic warfare matters. Destroying oil infrastructure damages Russia's economy, reduces export revenue, forces fuel rationing, creates domestic political pressure. Fourth, target selection requires balance. Military targets have immediate battlefield effect. Economic targets create long-term pressure. Industrial targets prevent future production. Optimal strategy hits all categories systematically. The campaign will continue. More strikes are inevitable. Russia continues the war. Ukraine will continue striking military and economic targets. The weapons will improve. Longer range, greater accuracy, larger payloads. The tactics will evolve. Better intelligence, improved coordination, more sophisticated mission planning. Russia will adapt defenses. But defense is harder than offense. One successful strike out of 10 is still a successful strike. The defender must succeed every time. The attacker only needs to succeed sometimes. Ukraine has accepted this calculation. Strike repeatedly. Some missions fail, some succeed. Success is enough. Each successful strike weakens Russia marginally. Dozens of strikes weaken significantly. Sustained over months, the effect becomes strategic. Subscribe to WarFist TV. We analyze the campaigns that define modern strategic warfare. 66 successful strikes in 4 months, thousands of tons of ammunition destroyed, millions of barrels of oil lost, multiple factories damaged, airfields struck, command posts eliminated. This is systematic warfare, not random violence, not terrorism. Strategic operations with clear objectives. Degrade enemy capability, disrupt enemy logistics, destroy enemy production, force enemy resource reallocation. Every principle of strategic bombing, executed by a smaller power, using unconventional weapons, achieving measurable results. The ammunition depots burn, the refineries smoke, the factories sit idle. And on the battlefield, Russian artillery fires half as many shells as before. Russian logistics struggles with fuel shortages. Russian units fight with less support. Because 700 kilometers from the front line, Ukraine's strategic campaign is working. One strike at a time, one target at a time. 66 strikes in 4 months, and counting. Stay vigilant.